I think you have given us the news. I will just give you the extra this night. Of course, we can only start from the election petitions court. The presidential election petition court tonight ruled that the Allied People's Movement, the Labour Party, and the People's Democratic Party failed to prove claims of substantial non-compliance of the presidential election against the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and non-qualification of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, an alleged double nomination of Vice President Kassim Shettima. That's the main story tonight. But let's just give you one story. Of course, our correspondent Dele Atumbi was there all day and said that the five-man panel has ruled in favor of INEC and the APC. The presidential court sitting in Abuja affirmed the declaration and return of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the duly elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The five-man panel of justices, led by Justice Aruna Simon Samani, gave the verdict in the unanimous decision of the court on the three consolidated petitions. Dele Atumbi reports that the court dismissed all the three consolidated petitions for lacking in merit. The petitions dismissed are that of the Allied People's Movement, Peter Obi and Labour Party, and that of Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party. The five-man panel of justices also affirmed the equality of votes cast in all parts of the country. Just one more story tonight, and as Nigeria moves to attract foreign investment into the economy, President Bola Tinubu is assuring Indian investors that the country is more than ever safe and ready for business, as his administration is creating conducive business climate for local and foreign investors. President Tinubu was addressing investors at the Nigeria-India Presidential Roundtable and Business Conference on the sidelines of the G20 Leaders Summit in India. State House correspondent Musba Odanwahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu is a special guest at the G20 Leaders Summit, but is here not only leveraging the platform, but also owning them to market the investment opportunities in the largest African economy.
Definitely, we are open for business. You've heard it. We have capable, intelligent, and highly committed individuals and the government to drive the economy of Nigeria and to be able to give you the best return possible. There's nowhere else you pinch penny in America and any other part of the world. Nigeria offers the best return on investment as it today. So invest.
Is equally strengthening the existing trade relations, staging an interface between Nigerian investors and their Indian counterparts, with investments in oil and gas, steel, telecommunications. Among other sectors, Indian companies are second largest employers of labor in Nigeria. And now it is more reassuring as the president promises to expunge all challenges inhibiting ease of doing business in the country.
Don't be frightened about investments in Nigeria. Bring it on. I have a team, and I am the captain of that team. I assure you, we solve problems.
It's already a work in progress, with some policy decisions of the current administration enhancing ease of doing business, and the Indian investors are ready to plug in.
For you to take that head on and create a single foreign exchange rate and create an atmosphere where foreign investment can feel comfortable coming in. Because if you invest and can't take your money out, it becomes a big dampener. You understand that, and you took a very important step in that regard.
This exchange must continue through our schools, both physically and virtually. Nollywood and Nigeria's film industry could do closer collaboration with Bollywood.
We welcome you to continue to invest in the Nigerian economy, create jobs in Nigeria, reduce the dependence on foreign exchange, and as you say, even allow Nigeria to be an exporter of manufactured goods.
We in the Ministry for Trade and Investment have embarked on reviewing and reforming our trade policies and agreements to protect you and to also encourage you to come in.
The amazing things that you've done with technology here, changing government services, helping to save costs, but also ensuring that citizens can have access to good services as well. It's something that our president desires, and we're looking for ways to learn from how you've done it to ensure that we can take that back to Nigeria.
Nigeria-India trade volume hit about $15 billion in 2022. That is now about to witness an increase with 3 MOUs signed among partners, 2 on information technology and 1 on infrastructure development. From New Delhi, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
More on India in the course of the program, but for now, educate the citizenry and you are promoting growth and development. This is the expectation of Nigerians as the Osman University Kano concludes arrangements to commence academic activities with 3 faculties. Vice Chancellor of the University, Fatima Batul Mukhtar, gave the cheering news at a news briefing in the university's premises in Kano. Awal Salisu was there and now reports.
Osman University Kano, which was conceived 5 years ago, was licensed on the 13th of May 2023, with 3 faculties ready to commence academic activities this September, with the Board of Trustees and the Council already constituted. Added to the 3 faculties of Health Sciences, Social and Management Sciences, and Computing Sciences, the founder envisioned to also add Faculty of Aviation Studies, which is to bridge the existing gap in the field.
There are good programs, and the fact that we are going to pioneer them shows that once the students graduate, these students will be available for airline holders. And so we'll begin to have improvements in the management of our airline services.
We are pioneering a program, in a degree program in aviation that is not just the first in Nigeria, but first in West Africa. We know that will come with a lot of challenges, like the Prof has explained in her earlier remark, when it comes to staffing, teaching facilities and all that. But there are challenges that are surmountable.
Founder of the university, Abdulmanap Yunusa Sarina, is working tirelessly to provide adequate lecture rooms, laboratories and other facilities for its smooth takeoff. Osman University awaits final visitation and clearance by the National Universities Commission on September 17th, after which the full academic activities commences. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Now, despite the clamor for press freedom over the years, reports show that continued attacks, arrests, and strategic laws against journalists in Nigeria have been on the increase. Navigating through these challenges is why the International Press Institute Nigeria, in collaboration with MacArthur Foundation, is organizing training for journalists and news editors in Abuja. Ekene Ndulu was there and filed the report.
A 2022 survey by Reporters Without Borders says cases of attacks, arrests and lawsuits means that many journalists are distracted from carrying out their constitutional duties of holding state actors and individuals to account. Gathered in this hall are journalists from various media organizations sharing thoughts and experiences on how to avoid legal suits while still serving public interest.
In so many ways, slap suits are meant to kill the journalists, to silence them and make it impossible for them to deliver on their mandates.
These experts say lawsuits cannot be totally avoided by journalists, but can be minimized by better understanding of the law and also by fact-checking stories before publishing.
Let us be thorough, let us be fair, and let us give everybody opportunity to defend themselves. And then let us also shun shady practices.
This training will further, broaden, especially for me, my horizon on the nitty-gritty of slaps and how to remain focused, ethical on media law and professionalism.
As these practitioners conclude the training, it was clear that building a media that holds power to account requires high level of professionalism and ethical conduct. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulu, NTA News.
We'll go for a quick commercial break now. We'll be back right after this. Earlier on News Extra, we told you that Nigeria has been moving to attract foreign investments into the economy, and President Bola Tinubu assured Indian investors that the country is more than ever safe and ready for business as his administration is creating conducive business climate for local and foreign investors. We are now being joined by the special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity during Gulale from India. Let's start this way before we go to the business in India. You must have heard of the judgment of the Presidential Election Petitions Court. What are your comments at this time?
Thank you, my dear brother, and good evening to you and good evening to all Nigerians. Of course, the Presidential Election Tribunal has confirmed what we have said all along, which is that Nigeria witnessed the freest and fairest election in its history in 2023, in which an incumbent president lost his home state, in which a presidential candidate of the ruling party lost his home state for the first time ever, but we still won the election. It was free and fair. We have said so consistently, and of course, with a presidential election petition tribunal panel overseeing the case, looked at the merits of everybody's petition and came to the conclusion that indeed it was a free and fair election, which His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has won. So we feel very much vindicated, and we feel very much humbled by the very important task ahead of us, which is governing and providing Nigerians with the renewed hope we promised them during the campaign across sectors.
All right, let's talk about renewed hope and the marketing drive out there in India. Is the first one, that you're doing outside the country. How is it coming through? And how, how is it resonating to the people you've been talking to? Perhaps what we will call would-be customers.
Yes, it's a great question. So, of course, renewed hope has always been about the hope that Nigerians have in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to deliver on the economic resuscitation and rejuvenation of the country through the aggressive pursuit of foreign direct investment. Mr. President has been very clear that he is going to stop at nothing to attract as much global capital as possible to ensure that we put tens of millions of Nigerians back to work. We want a situation where our young people have jobs. We want a situation where they are able to learn world-class skills. We want a situation where we expand our taxpayer base so that we have sustainable revenue generation aside from oil and gas across the country. And that is done through the attraction of foreign direct investment. So on this trip, on the sidelines of G20 summit, we are proud to report today that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has attracted $14 billion worth of new investments to the Nigerian nation for the full benefit of Nigerians across the country, which will involve new facilities for petrochemicals production, for fertilizer production, for a new steel processing mill and iron ore processing plant in the country worth about $3 billion, $8 billion for the fertilizer and urea and petrochemicals production plant being invested by Indorama. Then you have a separate investment of about $1.6 billion by the founder of Skipper Seal Power Limited, which is going to involve the establishment of 2,100 megawatt power plants across all states of northern Nigeria. So that's very promising. And so when you have this level of investment, things that we can point to and tell Nigerians where those investments are going to be at, how it's going to impact their lives, how it's going to impact the economy, this is, in real terms, the delivery of the renewed hope agenda. And we're excited that the president took additional time with each of those investors after the roundtable to go through with each of them the specific areas where they need government cooperation to ensure the successful takeoff of their various investments. We're very excited about what happened today.
Of your expectations this, of course, is on the sidelines of this, G20 Leaders Summit. What exactly are we also bringing to the table, especially in terms of some of our challenges, in terms of some of the things we want to achieve? You have an 8-point agenda communicated to Nigerians. Are you also looking at driving some of the things you expressed in those, point agenda, and also interacting across the table with some of the people attending that?
Absolutely. So I've only referred to our engagement with the private sector. That's the Indian private sector, Indian industrialists across multiple sectors, from agro-allied industry and processing to steel development to electric power generation and distribution, amongst other sectors. I have not yet mentioned the engagements that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be having with his counterparts, his fellow heads of state, once the G20 kicks off on Saturday. Already we are slated to have a one-on-one meeting between His Excellency Mr. President and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. We are going to be meeting with Brazilian President Lula da Silva. The President's going to be meeting with the president of South Korea, President Yeol. The president is going to be meeting with other presidents from across other continents, including the Prime Minister of Spain. These engagements are in part to not just attract further investment, but to also create government-to-government collaboration on things like arms treaties, on things like the further armament of our armed forces, for the resuscitation of the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, in collaboration with the government of India. We have a new deal that was struck today for about $1 billion to resuscitate DICON in partnership with the military-industrial complex of the government of India. There are many new opportunities that are still going to result from this trip that have not yet been announced, in addition to all that has already been announced, and Nigerians really have a lot to look forward to. And let me say that this president came in as a businessman, as an accountant. He's the first president in our history with that kind of a professional background in the private sector, with a focus on business. He knows where the shoe pinches the foot of investors. Investors know that he understands it, and that's why they're excited to cooperate with him and plant their investments in Nigeria under his leadership.
Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Nigerian Gulali. Thank you very much for being a part of it. I understand that you're about 3 hours ahead of Nigeria, so we'll let you rest now. In the course of the week, perhaps you'll still brief us on the activities in India.
4 hours.
4 hours. So I expect that you still brief us, on your activities out there in India in the course of the week. Thank you for making time.
Me.
And talking about business, a man of business, Benny Adams, is here with business news.
Thank you, Fisayo, and welcome to business. President of the 78th session of the General Assembly, Dennis Francis, in his inaugural address at the opening of the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly, says there is the need for long-term investment in conflict-affected regions and calls for enhanced financing, technology, debt sustainability and capacity building. He urges member states to follow through on the Addis Ababa Action Agenda and accelerate the transition to clean energy while supporting climate adaptation.
Long-term investments are needed to leave no one behind. To this end, we must find tailored solutions to the specific challenges of countries in conflict and post-conflict situations. The General Assembly must lend its weight to enhancing financing, technology, debt sustainability, and capacity building in places where development is in deficit and where assistance is most needed.
And as India investors commit to invest more than $14 billion into the Nigerian economy, the CEO, Infrastructure Corporation of Nigeria, Lazarus Agbazo, says Nigeria needs a little above $3 trillion in the next 30 years to bridge the country's infrastructure gap.
In the railways, in agriculture, in ports, things that are critical to Mr. President's strategy for increasing our import substitution and export manufacturing.
A project of $3 billion we are declaring today. Of course, we'll be meeting government and different ministries in Abuja in times to come, and we will make a way out how to reach to that level.
And looking at markets back home, Nigeria's equities on Wednesday recorded its first decline this week as investors keenly awaited the outcome of the judgment which just concluded a while ago. And at the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 378.7 million shares in 7,671 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.5 billion, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 32% decline in volume, 46% decline in turnover, and 22% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 37.4 trillion naira. Owandu recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa and Transcap Nigeria. Well, that is business news. Network news continues after this break.
And just before we go on News Extra tonight, just a recap of our top story. The Presidential Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja affirmed the declaration and return of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the duly elected president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The five-man panel of justices, led by Justice Haruna Simon Samani, gave the verdict in the unanimous decision of the court on three consolidated petitions. Dele Atumbi reports that the court dismissed all the three consolidated petitions for lacking in merit. The petitions dismissed are that of the Allied People's Movement, Peter Obi and Labour Party, and that of Atiku Abubakar with the PDP. The five-man panel of justices also affirmed the equality of votes cast in all parts of the country. And with that, we've come to the end of News Extra tonight. My name is Fisayo Ogunfi, thanking you for being a part of it. Good night and God bless.